Incoming transmission.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you doing this.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. I appreciate you. All right, hey everybody, it's Ed with boosting the signal, and this week my guest is Samuel Cockings from the Trek Shorts for Fans by Fans.
Yes.
It's an amazing Star Trek fan film. I would say company or troop. I'm not really sure how I would you know
Enthusiasts. We can't call it a
enthusiast.
series, but we can. It's an anthology set of content we make.
Well, I was going to say 39, 30, almost 40 films now over 4 years. That's an
Yeah.
amazing feat. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was going to say, I was really excited to talk to you. I honestly, if I could have talked to you at 8 o'clock this morning, I would have, because I want to do this. I've been waiting on this all day long. And
Very kind.
but it's really good to see you here and to speak with you. I've definitely spent plenty of times watching you on Trek Yards, and somehow
Oh dear.
somehow your Trek shorts have escaped me. I don't know if it's just, but it's happened. It does happen. Unfortunately, there are things that go over my head and I don't learn about, but I'm really happy I have. Tell us more about Trek shorts, please.
Yeah, fan film. Fan films, I guess, are a huge part of my life. They didn't mean to be. When I was at university studying film, it was between the years, and I was kind of a go getter of doing any media. Actually, learned more doing not the course than the course, but then go getter. And so I already had some Stargate props and costumes. I love Stargate, and so between the first and second year, we made a Stargate fan film. And after it was released, it became the number one Stargate fan film in the world, to my surprise and pleasure. And it still is today the number one most watched Stargate fan film on YouTube.
Wow.
Lovely. Next year, I thought, let's do it bigger, let's do it better, let's make a Star Trek one. That one was significantly more complicated, and took me from 2013 and 2014 shoots to finish finally 29 or release in 2019, because I remastered it twice in the meantime because I got better. I'm glad I did, because the last time it really improved it. And I took a break because that took a while. I tried to come back with an Avengers style crossover film called Convergence, which we were literally about a week away from booking flights and hotels for people. And then the thing called pandemic hit, and we thought we'll wait on this in case our non-refundable flight tickets aren't good. So we filmed half of it, and then pandemic closed that off for 2 years. We finally shot it three, give or take, because it was a big cast piece, three or so years later. But we said, oh, we promised a really cool film, and we filmed half of it. We were excited. Let's make some small Mobilcom Trek shorts because they're going to be shorter. And the first one was the one day we had a break in the lockdowns in the UK. We had him come and do that. It was the
Wow.
one guaranteed day. Sounded very well apparently. And then we went back in, and Nick shot in from Scotland, and then we just kept rolling. And then years on, we've done an astounding amount of content, and it is somewhat mind-boggling. And a couple of the films are accidental films, and you can follow up on that if you want later. But accidental films. There you go. That's a brief history.
I'm curious about the accidental films. Going through the library of films that you have created over the last 4 years, and because I've done my research over the last couple of days and kind of just binging everything. And the one
They
thing
are
that I
quite
have,
bingeable, I think.
your viewership numbers have gone up, I'm sure. But
Thank you.
I made sure, of course, I subscribed so I could go back and then as I was going through, and then you talked about Stargate, and then I even have a note to myself, Stargate crossover. And I see Stargate, like, because I see the Goa'uld ships coming, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And it's like, I'm very intrigued, and so yeah, I'm a big Stargate guy. I'm looking straight ahead, like you can see behind. I have Star Trek. I have Stargate in front of me. So it's
Good man.
yeah, it's, it's well balanced, and
Mm.
but yeah, no, it really, and I have to say the one thing I really appreciate, and you talk about remastering, is the fact that over the last few years, anyone that would start with your films from the beginning, there is a definite quality increase. Not to say that they weren't great in the beginning, but it's as if you were finding your niche and you were balancing what needed to be it color, be it sets, whatever. And really impressive how they've improved.
Yeah, I think the trajectory is pretty clear, even for the accidental films, for various reasons. I think a lot of it is being obviously more resources now, not in terms of literally more resources, but we've built up a stockpile of things that we use for certain films need to get done and they're accessible, so we can do more quicker now. And our cast is obviously a bit more used to their characters. And we've, oh God, there's so many things we could talk about, but yeah, the amount of things we can shoot in a day is astounding. Yeah, but that's why I recommend people, because people ask, how do I watch the films? And I know for a fact that including people on thumbnails, because they are clearly fan films, and we proudly say fan film, right? This is a niche within a niche. We're not trying to be anything bigger than that. I think that's fine. It, as long as you don't think, oh, you're watching a fan film, just watching a Trek story, very low budget. That's all we kind of want. Don't get taken out of it. But we have the actors on thumbnails, which again, maybe people won't click them because it's clearly not a licensed actor. But by doing so, you can know who's the lead and which era they're in, and often which rank, if you can see the pip. So you can watch those films in either chronological order, because you can tell TNG comes from Voyager era, or you can watch in release order, or you watch in character order. So just do the characters perspective. And because they're very easily findable in that regard, and it is a different experience to watch Keeley films and just go in order. But I love the release order, like with TOS, TNG, you feel the evolution of the show that you really can't do if you watch in any other order. But then the characters evolve. So,
Yeah.
we've joked as a cast that when we're done, whatever done means, we're just going to get all together and just binge everything in time order. And given that we do de-aging, actors are shooting prequels afterwards. So everything they're filming is out of order, which is fantastic. But when you watch it in order, things should tie together, hopefully. And then it'll be like, wow, I didn't realize I thought this then, and that makes sense here. And it's quite cohesive, which I'm very, very proud of.
Well, I can imagine that for the layperson, it's probably a lot to. That you probably get the you get the phrase or the comment every now and then. Oh, it must be so difficult to keep track of. But if
It's
it's
getting
your,
harder.
if, yeah, I was gonna say, if it's your baby, you probably have it in your head, and I can relate to that. I will say, with calculated risk, I was watching that one,
Mm.
and I was a little. I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
confused. I was confused at first because I was
Yep.
like, all right, I'm looking at the uniform of, like it was Commander Davis. Commander Davis was wearing a uniform that was very TNG, and
Mm-hmm.
whereas Lieutenant K was wearing
Mm-hmm.
a Picard era uniform, and I'm like, well, something's up. What's it's like something's not right here. And I didn't realize it was gonna be a holodeck, and that made more sense at the end. Not spoiler for anyone that has not seen that,
Yep.
but well done, because it had me intrigued. It had me like, I
Yep.
gotta find out what's going on.
Yeah, there's
Graphic.
definitely I really, because this is, we don't talk down to our audience, and Trek fans are very smart in general, generalities. So we try and stick with what the characters know. And for example, if you and your friend, um, Billy Bob, whatever, went and watch TNG, and it's season 6, and he said to you, "Oh, who's that woman?" And it's like, "Well, it's Deanna Troy." Well, they're not explaining who she is. Well, why would they? We're 7 seasons in,
Yeah.
right? The show doesn't need to do that. It's up to you to watch them or not, but it's the shows to follow through on that. So that story, me and Jazza knew the characters' arcs, so we knew exactly how it made sense. But you can't know, but
Yeah.
you will know one day, and that's why it was
That's
written
good.
intriguingly. Because she's such a funny character. She's actually my fiance's sister,
Okay.
who I've known for over 10 years, or 10 years this year. And she became an actor and then became a scriptwriter, which is may have inspired her. I don't know. Very nice. And she actually came to film like the week before she started university to do film, or do acting, sorry. And she filmed at 18, like within like a week or two. She came and filmed her first piece. So that was 3 or so years ago. But because her stuff is really far in the timeline, every single thing's a spoiler about her for
Oh.
various characters. So she's filmed 7 stories, not her as being the lead, but she's in 7 stories, fully filmed. They're just sitting there because they're huge spoilers. So this was a chance to actually film something that was sort of spoilers. She's 16 and 30-year-old's body, whatever. Yeah, it's a spoiler, but what does it mean? I don't know. I know. She knows. You don't know. But it was nice to bring her in, even though she's filmed so many things. And now she's locked in as that actually looks as young as she needed to for the part, and now she's growing up. So when we film more, you'll see they'll look different because their time has passed. Boy, we've done some stuff, man. We've done some stuff.
The de-aging is well done as well, I have to say. Like, um, all the way around, two even liver spots on the face to make them look older. Everything. It's it was well done. I completely enthralled by watching it, and I remember telling my wife, I'm like, we're gonna have to watch more of these. And well, specifically, if I may say, last night was the best one. We had a really bad storms here last night,
Okay.
and she's like, "Well, there's nothing to watch. Let's just go to bed." And I'm like, "No, no, no. We have something to watch." It's like, like
Okay.
trust me, have a seat, relax.
Okay.
Um, but no, absolutely enjoyed it. And
Well, which was
then
the story? Which was the you said that was one of your favorite ones?
we started off with the calculated risk because I thought, well, I'll watch
Okay.
the newest one,
Okay.
and that's when I was like, okay, it caught my attention, and then I was like, I need to go back. I end up watching the Sean Ferrick review, and then I
Hmm.
started adding things into a playlist, and then like you said. I do need to go through and I want to figure out, do I want to watch these in, chronological? Do I want to watch them in release order? And then, so let me ask you, what would you recommend? I mean, like, do you recommend release order and or what?
Well, it's just like with Star Trek. I think if a modern 10-year-old started with Enterprise, then Discovery, then TOS, they will be biased against TOS visually,
Yeah.
and they can't get away from that. If you start with TOS, it'll feel flatter in the sense that they're not pre-biased, and then suddenly TNG will feel more advanced, and Voyager will feel more advanced, versus everything will feel less advanced.
Yeah.
So I always recommend do it the way it was intended structurally. So I would say very much starting release order, which makes it a lot easier. Because also, while the characters do know each other, we are obviously evolving them as we go in the chronological of release order. So obviously now things are really interconnected, but you are now seeing us trying to introduce them to the audience because we're trying to do that with the audience. So I would really recommend a release order uh, because yeah, it's pretty cohesive. But then honestly, you could almost they're not very long, right? You could then go back once you've watched them all and just watch the Keeley storyline, go from the cadet, which was de-aged, which was so much fun to film, and then all the way to Captain, which is that's the big character arc we're doing because 50 years of Piln's life. And she loves playing that range because imagine as an actress being asked, right, play 18, then play 50, but I'm only 33. Yeah, you're playing both. And it kind of works, right? And there's really distinct versions of her throughout her life because you would, right, as you grow up in an age.
So let me ask you, your cast is amazing. Everyone is very well spoken. I have to say,
Hmm.
there's no. I mean, at least it comes across on film that way. What was the origin of the cast? How did you all come together,
Hmm.
or
Well,
is
any
it?
any highlights? Because
Well,
everyone's your favorite, I'm sure. But any who would say was your favorite if you had to
well,
say?
no,
For
I'd
no,
say what was be the beginning? How did I mean,
no, no.
I'm
But I'm asking you
assuming
specifically, who's your favorite cast so far?
my favorite cast member,
Any reason?
man.
Yes, Nick Cook of Star Trek Intrepid. He
Yeah,
is the single longest running fan from creator in history for Trek because he's not stopped producing in 21 years.
really.
Because John Broughton and James Corley were earlier, but they had long pauses and stops. So
Oh,
Nick Cook, 21 years of constant making. He just released a film last weekend, which I did a lot on as well. Yeah, Nick's fantastic.
that's good.
He he's the sort of actor who benefits from good direction, and I'm told I'm a good director, so yay. But he can, an actor is elevated by a director and the material, and he really elevates when you give him good material and a good director and a good story. So yeah, he's actually won several acting awards with us, having never won them in the previous 20 years.
Wow.
And no fault of his own, just he hasn't. I'm so thrilled that we got him several awards.
Now, when it
Sorry,
comes to the production and everything else of the films, you seem to wear a lot of hats, as it
too
were.
many probably.
Did you ever
Yeah.
find that overwhelming, or is there any aspect that you've delegated to?
Well, I mean, it keeps the budget down. Let's be brutally honest. And I do these things on almost nothing. For most people who know what things cost, it's almost nothing. And so if I do most things, if I learn things, etc., then obviously I'm putting my own time in. I have to pay out people who charge a lot more. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't do music and I can't do CGI building the models. I have a beautiful team, less so for music, but I have people I can call on. But 3D model wise, I mean, the show would live or die on people willing to give time to build, a Defiant bridge or some really really. I'll give you one exclusive if you want.
Sure.
One 3 set that I built because I thought, oh, I can use this somewhere. I had my lead guy build the Klingon court from Star Trek 6.
Really? Now that's come
Because
up a
I
lot for me lately. Um,
really
oh yeah,
okay.
well, very specifically, if you were to like when we're done today, check out the Boosting the Signal Instagram, and I posted a reel, a section from an episode that went up this week, and we were talking very specifically about that.
What
So
a coincidence.
yes,
I just thought visually having Nick or Marcus or Nim in that middle bit talking to Klingons in some form would be so, the weight would be there. I'm not sure why, as in what the story would be, but just like, oh, this is we need the funding for stuff like this because there's just
yeah.
more ideas. But you asked about the cast, yeah. So it, obviously when I made my original film, it was friends who were actors, but friends. My Stargate film, and then my second film, the Trek one, it was I did open casting for the university. In theory, they promised we deal with the actors as a media course. In practice, we don't try very hard. Good luck. But I did manage to cast the whole thing with a variety of people. One of which was Marcus Churchill, who plays Sam Harriman, and Nimran, who plays Keeley. She was actually a friend of mine who I had helped me sub in because I can't remember exactly why, but it was the person who couldn't be there to read, or I mean, like she was a sub in, and I was like, oh my god, you get this character, just subbing in to help. Like I remember I offered her the roles. Like, do you actually want this? This is and she was like, oh my god, yes. And then it started a 10-year friendship. More than 13 years. So that was those two I brought back for temporal from temporal anomaly to current films, which bringing Marcus back after it was 8 years at that point was such a dream because named after myself, Sam Harriman, the Sam part, but he's an amazing actor, a lot of depth, but also it's like bringing back Mark Hamill after 20 years, for the sequels. For me, it felt like that, and get developed him after the fact has been absolutely superb. I hope he never retires. He will, but I hope he doesn't. Beyond that, I brought in Nick Cooks. I wanted this Avengers style fan film where I bring in each cast member being from a separate fan film. That was my concept, which it was working till it wasn't. And then Emma Thorne, I talent scouted. The YouTube algorithm showed me a video of hers that went viral. I messaged her on Instagram. We had good vibes. It's a ridiculous thing to say, do you want to come film Star Trek films? But obviously I have lots of screen caps. I can show you what I do. And she fit in like fit like a glove. And in fact, her first film that we shot in 2022 is actually releasing tomorrow,
Hmm.
despite having 7 films released already. How silly is that? So see her very first day of acting tomorrow, and it
Well,
still works.
it's timey wimey wibbly wobbly things, you never know.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother franchise. The
Yep.
I want to say you've got the Kickstarter going on for your current
Yes.
film. I think it's important that we touch on that.
Yep.
Power 543 Films, doing fan films, is doing an amazing Kickstarter right now, and I implore anyone that has not watched these films to go and watch them. You will see why or where the money is going.
Yeah.
Even on your campaign videos itself, it's has stated that the money goes towards this. It costs money for actors. It costs money to fly actors in. It costs money for effects. It costs money for this. But it definitely seems to be worth it. Would you like to tell everybody about the Kickstarter, where to find it?
Yeah, so we ran several funders over the years because you can't negotiate with hotel chains. Fact is, right? And we
They
actually get
don't like to
criticized
barter.
for yeah, I'm actually get criticized for only having few cast. But if I said to you it costs $600 to house them for a 2-day shoot, you'd say, well, damn, because well, damn. So you have to really pick the times if you have the funds. We'd love to do that, but we can't. And we don't make actors pay to be on our films. That's silly because they work really hard. I mean, we for the most part work until work's done, and we work until it's good quality. And like you said, I think the acting comes across. So we'll do a shoot. There's not answer your question, but we'll start at 10, 11 a.m. and we will sometimes go until 7 or 8 or 9 with only a lunch break because we need to and we want to. So the dedication is really, really there. Everyone over delivers on this project, which is why the funding is so crucial because everyone over delivers, the hard costs remain. And we want to keep over delivering, if that makes sense. So the
No, no,
Kickstarter,
I get it. No, I get it. You want to strive for perfection, even if it's one
well,
step
best we can
below.
do.
Best
Best
you
we can
can
do.
do, but if you shoot the highest, I get you.
Yeah. But we did crowdfund it in 21 and 22, which were wonderful, and they obviously helped to produce many films. But the first fundraiser was for 5 big films, which end up being, well, we've shot all 5. They're been in the can for a long time. They're 30, 40-minute pieces, which will take sort of 6-ish months to make each. But we've sort of pivoted, once they're filmed, of course, to do smaller films, which means we can release 7, 8, hopefully not 9 a year. We have done, I believe, 9 in 1 year, which is absolutely astounding,
Yeah.
incredible. But each film gets you to know the characters, gets you to see different eras, different things. It's really more interesting, and they may take only 1, 2 months, sometimes 3 weeks each, versus 6 months. And we'll do those, of course. We'll finish them. But I think it's really fun for people to see lots of different films. So Kickstarter, this one is very much for the everything approach. It's the blanket, which kind of is hard to understand in some ways. What's the money going for? And we say everything because we want to keep up the momentum of that many films where we've had to sort of like scrounge for funding for the last 8 months, give or so. And I've worked very hard because I've not stopped releasing. I've achieved it, but it is definitely a struggle. And we've got various films this year that we really want to do, and maybe I can even tease one if you ask me about later. Finish off various films because there's a lot of films like there's one more shoot day that's like a half a day, but you've got to still fund the things to get people in, etc. Um, and because we were going to do a Thunder in 23 and now it's 26, we have thousands of posters signed because I really believe in physical perks. I would want one if our things were reversed. I would certainly want a poster signed by my favorite cast because in 20 years they won't be accessible.
Yeah.
Because they'll go across the world. We've got signed scripts by whole casts. I always try and get them done. There's a limit of everything, but there's something of everything pretty much. And other fun perks. You can name a ship, name a captain, etc. I really worked hard. I'll say about I spent a month full time on this campaign. I'm not joking, which is another reason why there's money problems, as you can imagine, to really make a great campaign. So you can see there's so much cool stuff done, there's so much cool stuff doing, and we don't want to slow down because most fan film production people, let's be honest, I don't know about general fan films, will release one film a year if you're lucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if you look back on like Star Trek Continues when it was
Mm-hmm.
coming out, that was, you know, over the course of 10 years, you only got 11 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
You
And you've
know,
got to keep in mind those films and continues and outstanding
yeah,
$50,000 per episode and standing sets. I'm asking for minimum, and I say minimum, I mean minimum. There's like $15,000 for at least 12.
yeah, yeah,
Really, I'm asking for 30 because I was very clear you need to get 100% or nothing. So I had to keep it as low as possible just to get that. So I'm 12.5 is the absolute minimal. Really, I don't know if we're going to get it, obviously, but I'm going to try. 30K is to actually fund this year and be part of next year. But the £12.5, $15,000 lets me finish what's currently in the pipeline, which is fantastic. I'd love to finish those. But then imagine saying we're not going to film anything for 2 years. That would be so depressing, especially as actors become less available or get older, and it stops
yeah,
momentum that we've got on because yeah, it's so fun and exciting, but it's hard costs. Because I don't know about you know how much about UK houses, but we don't really have spare rooms or couches or sofas in the way that you guys might. So when we
yeah,
say bring an actor down, it's you might not think a 2 hour train ride is a long time, but if they need to be there at 10 a.m. to film and we haven't got any spare space, we have to have a hotel for them the night before so they can be here because we can't expect them to get up at 5 a.m. to get to set for 10 to work until 7 p.m. and go home. It's not, it's
right.
they wouldn't do it, right? So we do a hotel before and optional after. Normally they just go home that night, but there's always at least one night of hotel per actor per shoot just so they can be there on time because time is valuable and can you imagine being that tired working for 11 hours and do good work, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. I can understand the struggles. I don't really know your location exactly where you are, but I do know from past experiences that, like, let's say you fly into Heathrow or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and you've got to go. I don't know, but you could go 2, 3 hours. It still may be a drive to get some places that you need to go for, to see
We're
some
very
stuff.
lucky. Everyone except Nick, because he's in Scotland, is about
No,
2 hours away. Nick is about 9 hours away. And
okay,
the legend that he is will come and do, sometimes he'll do a 21-hour trip
wow,
because we cram. We
yeah,
cram content when that's the case, but he really loves the cast and he just has to turn up and act and he gets to be in several films. And I'm very pleased, like I say, he's won acting awards with us and developed his character de-aging. We literally have, I think, 10 films in various stages of production where the actors are 100% de-aged for the whole thing.
wow.
How absurd is that? as a concept.
Well,
But
if you want to
yeah, we
look
do it.
young again, I mean, I'm all for it. I one thing I kind of want to touch on, and I like again, I want to say the Kickstarter. We need to know where to tell people where to go. I want to put it on the screen, but if you could tell
Yes.
us and give us an idea.
Yeah, it's called Trek Shorts 2026, the big one for a reason. Is on Kickstarter. Just search Trek Shorts Kickstarter on the Google or whatever platform you want. You'll find it, and there are perks from anywhere from the simple $10 all the way up to, I mean, 1,000 or more. But that's the extreme stuff. But every single perk, there's a real bundle approach. So the higher you go, the more value you get by a substantial margin. So we encourage people, if they want to just get one sign poster, they can. Don't. That's a lot of postage. Or you can get, I mean, my favorite one personally is the main cast limited sign perk, which is the entire main cast fully signed. And Alexa Brown has sort of retired from on set work. So we only have as many as we have with her
Okay.
signed. And those are £60, but that is everybody together, and it's such a fun piece of art. And I've had people frame those. We love those. And then if you want to go the more formal perks, so like admirals and vice admirals and etc. Like I say, every single perk increases the value of what you get. So if you want to support by getting cool stuff, just get a bit more cool stuff, and you will support a lot more. And because
And
we actually have prepped this for years, all the perks are on hand. So unlike the last funder where we had to wait for 6 months to get somebody to sign, we aim to package stuff during the campaign, at least put it to one side and then say, let's get it off for the next 2 months. So it's going to be very efficient, we hope, this year, because the stuff's there.
I have seen some of the posters that have been signed in one of your videos promoting the Kickstarter. It
Yep.
showed footage of people signing and the cast members signing.
Yep.
So and they do look good. It's interesting and definitely well worth anyone checking out for sure.
We have these little character cards, which we call postcards. They're about sort of this sized,
Yeah.
and they're all little signed by the cast. And we kind of approach them like Pokemon cards. So every single version of every single character is recreated and signed. Boy, so much signed. And we're going to deliver them as mystery packs.
Oh, okay.
So kind of collect them all, and they'll always be different. And there's some ones that haven't films that haven't come out yet, or some actors you haven't not seen yet. And it's just a case of you'll might get a Nick, might get a Nim, might get whatever. But it's mystery pack, and then I'm hoping people get a few. Personally, I think they're really charming, and they're just a really really fun collectible that's taken years to make, and all signed and
And
mystery
you got
pack
to catch
style.
them all. You got to catch them all.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, we have a bundle. We have a 15 pack, as in 15 real cards for £35. 15 cards. That's a lot of cards.
Yeah,
Just
and
saying.
see, then now you got me doing math. I got to figure out what that is in the U.S. dollar, but it's
About 50.
yeah, yeah, it's I do have an interesting question, and you can answer it if you want. You can not answer it. That's fine, and I understand completely. But I'm really curious, with all of the strife that fan films have had through the years from Paramount, how are you skipping by that?
You say that, but what strife recently?
Well,
You know,
maybe
name
not
me the
recent.
last strife.
Well, what was it? The Axanar
But when was
was.
that?
I'm not really even sure. I
2016, 2017? That's a long
okay,
time ago.
okay. So I mean, is there a set rule that you have to follow? I mean, I didn't
Well,
know if there was.
this is the thing about fan films. Thanks for asking. People say fan films are dead
Yep.
who don't know anything, and that's absolutely fine. But there have been more fan films released in the last, I think, 9 years post the guidelines than the previous 20
Okay.
by a substantial. I would guarantee over 1,000 have come out. I might be like 50 of them myself, but like 1,000 or so films, right? And the very last production approached by CBS in 2016 or 2019, sorry, 2017, 2018, one of those years was actually my film, Temple
Okay.
Anomaly. So I was the last guy to get approached by CBS and Paramount,
Okay.
and I got myself a deal. I'll go
Okay.
into specifics,
That's
but I got
fine.
a deal. I got it released, and then John Van Sitters, who helped write the guidelines, which came out in 2016, I believe. He was at a London convention, and I knew. I mean, I'd met him previously, And I said to him, I found him and said to him, "Hey John, I'm doing another crowdfunding for a film called Convergence. It's got these actors in it. What do you think?" I won't say what he said, but it wasn't a no. And obviously we've raised money and did that. So at the end of the day, had Paramount CBS wanted to really kill fan films, how would I have released 39? How would Nick have released 5? How would
Right. No,
Farragut
no,
have
no.
released 2 very long films? It's astoundingly nice of them to let things go, because I think the era of the Titans is long over, where you can raise 100 grand because Koenig's in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine. I miss those films. I miss having Nichelle and do things. But we're in such a golden age of the mid-level fan film where we as creatives can make a film for $5,000
Yeah.
or less in my case, which is nothing. And they were doing props for 10,000, right? In their productions, we're doing full films. And because of cameras and hardware and the base quality is just much higher. And because we're filmmakers, bring our own kit. You know, my camera setup's like 7 grand. That's a lot of production I'm just doing innately, right? So we're able to do
Right.
a lot with a lot less versus them who are doing a lot more with a lot more. So we stay in our lane. And I mean, you know, obviously the guidelines were always stated with fan films: follow these or not, we'll come after you or not. Right? Even if you letter of the law them, they can still tell you to stop. Even if you ignore
Okay.
them all, they cannot tell you to stop because they're guidelines.
Right.
And no one's been talked to in that many years except me, and I got a deal. So I
Okay.
mean, yeah, blessed to them, but yeah, it's gone very well.
I was genuinely curious. I knew it could have
Mm-hmm.
been a touchy subject, and I didn't want to like
No,
cross a
no, no.
line. But I
I'm
was
very
like,
open. If I expect and hope people to send me money to produce these films, I'm very open because I try and you should
right
know what you're
on.
getting. You should know the effort I'm putting in. You should know that I can't tell you all the films I'm producing because there's more than you think, and there's a reason why I'm asking for so much. There's more than you think,
Right.
you know. But yeah, it's we're very thankful to CBS and Paramount for letting us do this stuff. But let's be honest, none of our films are that good, like production wise, for being seen as real Trek. You can tell them on a green screen. There's no confusion, right? And that's
Well,
fine. I'm absolutely I do as good as I can. Happy to stay in my lane. You know.
the graphics of the movies and the films are wonderful. I would never even begin to say anything bad about them. I welcome everyone to check them out. I specifically, I mean, the first one I ever checked out had a representation of the Defiant, second Defiant, by the way. So and no cloaking device, and I was like, all right, I like this. I like, and I'm a Defiant guy. I'm a DS9 Cisco guy, so
Mm.
um, so yeah, I enjoyed it, and I really like the one. And I don't know the name, so you can help me
No,
with
fine.
Harriman, where it's
Mm-hmm.
basically the talking head, and he's talking about being the descendant of Harriman. And I have seen some bits and pieces here and there, and I want to go back. I want that one more because that intrigues me. That truly does intrigue me. I know Sean did the review of it. I need to go
Mm-hmm.
back. I need to watch the whole thing. Um, so yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
for that.
Fallen
And that was
Heroes
Fallen Heroes. Yes, Fallen Heroes.
was our
I remember.
unexpected viral one, and it's so wonderful because we released that, and then of course Picard season 3 brought Enterprise D back, and that brought a lot more views because it was back again, which makes that film more fun because as the audience, when he says we lost the D, it never came back. Now we know it does come back, and I have filmed subsequent films where Harriman goes to the museum and sees the D again, and we full circle that, and it's really really tremendous. No, Fallen Heroes was fantastic. I'm very well aware that you don't want to base everything off canon, as in
Right.
literally just. But I do so much. It's nice to kind of do a bit of everything as well. And Generations is not a great movie, but not every movie is great anyway, right? And it's interesting to have the different perspective and then to see before and after. That was my big concept: was what happens before Viridian and after, and then take it really down to that personal level, that single person helping the crew, because Picard did his own thing and they're on the bridge and these big things, but what's the single person perspective? And it was absurd, I know, but I recreated every single space effect from that film from a certain point in the movie onwards. Every single one I recreated in my film, and then I added new ones as well. So that was a hell of a thing.
Yeah, I.
Yeah.
Sean touched on the review in the review of that, and one thing that I truly appreciated and I liked is that you did a different explosion for the Klingon vessel, and I thought, okay, I like that. That was because it was A, noticeable, B, wonderful. Um, yeah, and
Part of me was
just
tempted to redo it just for the lols, just recreate their stock footage, because you would find it funny either way if it's an original version of the same thing.
that's a good
It would be
point.
funny either way. But yes, I wanted to go original because in that film I took the because I like in documentaries a lot of people saying things, right, so there's
Right.
time to fill, so I took every shot from the film and I recreated the bit and I did before and after it, so every shot's longer than the film, so you get more of a flow plus obviously new shots. um and yeah, I'm really proud of that film for the small, spoilers and all, but the small bits of him seeing a child and the emotions and the it's really, yeah, he really acted that well, and we felt it in the day, just the vibe. And the score's incredible by Matt. He really elevated that piece.
Nope.
I see it's my dad's favorite I've done 39, so we have a one distinct favorite. It's like, oh, no offense taken, like they're all good, but that's the favorite. It's like great,
The one
it
thing
hits
that
hard.
didn't even occur to me until watching bits of that was I've seen Generations probably more times than I can count, but I never gave much consideration to the fact that the medical, sick bay was in the lower section of the saucer. So them abandoning sick bay never really stuck with me. I never gave it second thought. But then I'm like, okay, wow, okay, I get it. You don't want to be on the bottom, Great, great
Yeah,
attention to detail, wonderful attention to detail all the way around.
well, yeah, I mean, while I'm never going to be canon, that's fine. I wanted all my films to feel like they just exist in the world, like it's a living, breathing universe.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to kind of massage and fix some canon things, as I saw them, helped. So it deepens the lore. Saying, why did no one get the Soren was a bit dodgy. He clearly stands out as being not a very nice guy. Why is he on the station if he's clearly not a very, and then but Baham's saying no, everyone's not. Why are all the civilians away from him? Because he's something's wrong with him, and he chastises himself for not calling out that there's something wrong with him. How could you know, right? Hindsight, but there's little moments of like, well, of course, this and this and this was really satisfying. And I will say, with that's the thing with funding, right? I've not filmed any of them, but with this sort of funding that we want to get, and this is not the 12, this is the post. I do plan to do each of the main. I'll say this is exclusive to all the TNG movies to do a doc from Harriman's perspective,
Okay.
and then recreate shots from all four for the rest of the three, and then obviously develop them further. So, what was he doing during Nemesis, and how you do more Insurrection and First Contact? Because I think that'd be so interesting.
It
A
would
lot
be
of
that.
work, but that's a set. I'm sold, right?
Yeah, no, I know. It's an interesting concept. I like that idea all the way around. Especially like Insurrection. Insurrection would be an interesting one. Would he be a character that stayed on the ship? Did he go down to help the Baku? I don't know.
I did film because when Convergence One, we call it Convergence One, was replaced by the real version we did, which was actually like 20 pages longer. We replaced Robin Hirt from the Netherlands with Alexa Brown from Holy Core, and she's fantastic. But because everything about the Convergence crossover Avengers style was that each character was a fully fleshed out character interacting, I had to write a trilogy of films to set up who Alexa was beyond her film.
Oh,
I had to write a trilogy, and that costs quite a lot to do, as you can imagine. But we released one; the other two are fully shot. And film two, or was it film? No, film three. Two are out. Film three is actually you want to see the rise and fall of her and Harriman's characters. And the third film has a disagree about insurrection because she's the one on her ship that brings the their replacement warp core
oh,
because they can't, they haven't got a warp core. And so they then have this friendly banter in the mess hall about what happened, and they have very different opinions,
hmm.
and it gets heated. And I loved writing that because I wrote a dissertation from my actual university on insurrection, how I disagree with insurrection's premise fundamentally. And so each character is doing the hard version of the story from both perspectives, and it's a fun piece. It's kind of boring in that they're just sitting down, but the acting is really like, it's going to be, so that's, I have to reread that to do the insurrection doc, but there is a
Okay.
perspective already on it from him, and I had to recreate some shots from insurrection already, and I'll do a lot more in the film because I'm stupid. I can't help
No,
it.
no,
Oh
I look
god.
forward to it. It's an interesting
Yeah.
premise. I like that idea, and I'm an Insurrection fan. I
Yeah,
like that
me too.
movie. You know,
Mhm.
the biggest complaint's always been, oh, it's just a long episode of TNG, and your problem is what? You know, like, give me TNG. I'm okay with that. So,
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't as good as First Contact, okay, but the music's
yeah.
fantastic, so the acting's really good. The aliens are superb.
Oh
They
yeah.
spent a lot of money on the Baku village. Should they have? Probably not. Probably not, but they did. And it has some really memorable moments. And the space
Definitely.
CGI is both great and bad at the exact same time in very
Yeah,
different
it's
ways.
a good balance.
Um,
It's a good
I,
balance.
if you remember that shot where the E flies, where they fire, where they fly past camera with the venting nacelle,
Yeah.
venting
Okay.
nacelle, and
Yeah.
they're being shot at by the sonar torpedoes, and they use what's called a particle simulation, which spews out particles to like plasma, right? I remember I recreated that shot because I'm a moron, and I made it longer because I am. And I remember because the particles are very intense rendering, just that part of that shot took 3 days to render because
Wow.
it's obviously flying past cameras, which means you're seeing tens of thousands of particles every frame and at camera. But I was like, yeah, I need to recreate this shot.
I will say this. The best I ever saw that film was on 4K. They
Mm-hmm.
did a really good job. I mean, you're right. It is a good balance of good and bad, but yet at the same time, I've seen worse. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
like, have you ever? I mean, obviously you're a science fiction fan, but have you ever
Mm-hmm.
seen The Fifth Element?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so like Fifth Element
Mm-hmm.
is my good example of everything. Watch it on VHS or DVD, but do not go 4K. That movie did not. You should
Really, I've got one right there.
really see. I
Really,
didn't. What did you think about
I
4K?
haven't seen it yet.
Because
I'll be honest. I bought it. I haven't seen it before. What's the 4K issue? This is
it's
totally
just.
relevant to Trek Shorts, but I want to
I'll give you a good
know.
example. At the beginning,
Yeah.
when like Luke Perry and the other guy, they're doing the digging, and the aliens show up to get them. It's very. I don't know. That was the first one. It looks fake. You can see the fakiness of it. It brings out all of the flaws in the costume. And
Mm,
then when you would see like the president's ship flying through space and stuff, you
mm,
just it doesn't loan itself well. But you give it your own opinion. You give it your own opinion, and don't
mm.
listen to me. Don't listen to me.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? In TNG, when the remaster came out, you could see the paint lines on
Oh yeah.
sets, but you
Yeah,
just couldn't ever before. But they are paint, which is why it's really funny when you do digital sets. I'm a believer that part of the imperfection is part of the charm,
yeah.
and it is a spaceship, but they were wooden walls painted with paint. So I will texture my walls with a paint recreation, not a plastic recreation, because it is still paint. This is why I'm very, very. Do I have that? Oh, I do. Which one looks better?
I have to go with the one in your right hand. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a fan example, but this is a resin painted com badge. And I'm
Okay.
sure we've all have the metal badges. They're reflective, they're
Yeah.
big, they don't feel right, and they're all for
Nope.
green screen because they reflect. But the best one is painted resin because that's what it was. It has this etherealness to it. It doesn't feel like painted resin, but it has the feel of this other thing, which is funny. There you go, tangent. Part of the Trek shorts is an investment in the past. I don't even love the tricorder, but I knew that for somebody,
Yeah.
do this means something, and I don't like this that much, but having this physical embodiment of canon is very, very important, and also sets time. If you're doing a TNG film, you have to use the TNG phasers,
Yeah.
and need a hero replica because the difference between this and a 3D print or a at least since recently, the right scale. All these props were designed correctly to the what they're intended.
Yeah.
If you make them different sizes, it doesn't quite work. But TNG, they're expensive. Each of these costs like $70. The
Wow.
correct holsters, but you put them together, everything works out. It is, and then you need more than one. So you need a hero which lights and sounds, and not a hero lights and sounds. But that's the thing. Previous investment got us here. But when you can have on screen something like this, not a Playmates, the full size,
Nice.
and something the Trek brain says, "Oh, that's right." Doesn't that just feel
Yeah.
right?
No, I get it. You're right.
There's it's worth it, even if it's expensive. But we've already got them. But I want to use them.
And
And the
you're
difference
100%.
between that and cosplay, again, same thing. Here a replica.
Well, your one captain makes mention in one of the videos that the uniform was custom made for her.
Yeah.
Um, and like, how, if I may, how does that go about?
So yeah, we have a variety of costumes. We're very blessed that we can get deals with people who see our work and give us modicum discounts. But you know, if spending 1,000,
Yeah.
getting a discount is still spending 1,000, right? But it's an investment and it pays off in dividends. I was actually the very, very first person to custom make a Picard Season 2 uniform. And I was so quick off the bat that Terry Metalis, showrunner of Picard, Dave Blass, shared like, oh, good job, man. So that was quite nice. So I was the first one to have one of those. And then when we came around doing more films, this is my Picard Season 3. Wow, the lighting messes up. Picard Season 3 Hero replica, which I have made, which includes the
Oh,
under
very nice.
Velcro. And it's fully working, etc., fully Velcro with high end fabric, so it's got a weight to it. The other ones don't. About $550, not including the fabric, which again buy in
Yeah.
bulk. But Cozumar, which is I think $60. They got deltas. It's thin, it's light, and fans great. But you
Yeah.
saw the film with Jazza. The difference in the high quality.
Yeah.
It sits differently. It feels better. Once you've got it, it's there to use, right? I mean, yes, you got to stay in shape, but you know, it's an
Right.
investment. But we have a lot of people who want to see more films from us. We want to give the quality, and once you start doing the quality we try and strive for, kind of hard to go under that. Not every uniform is custom made, of course, but we have a couple and they mount up. But they just look and feel so much better on the screen. And you should just watch and feel like you're watching a window into the Trek world. Just costs a bit, but I think it's worth
Yeah.
it
That's good.
mostly.
Yeah. The Dave Blass is a good guy. I spoke to him recently. He's been on the podcast, and he's always got some really good advice on Star Trek and everything else. And he's got some tricks. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's a mad genius. I love it. Well, it looks like I'm having a little bit of an issue here. Are you still with me? All right, so
Okay.
there we are. So, but yeah, those are amazing uniforms.
Yeah, we try. Um, and the number one thing we get asked for is about doing Mathicon films. The number one thing, pretty much. And we did do one, which I already had one. So I spent basically built one up over a year and a half. And so I was like, I could use that. Cool. And everyone loved it. That went really well. I mean, I really like invested in some extra CG sets and stuff. But I do watch that. If you like Rathacon, I really went all out on that film.
I
It's got
will.
way more than it has any right to have in it. But yeah. Uh, but those uniforms, I'm sure you know, to the standard we want, each of those uniforms is about $1,200 to put together,
Yeah.
and they're not exactly flexible, so you have to get them per actor, and that's so much. But they would look great on screen. So you know we need to get past this first hurdle of funding the current film, so we have confidence, and then we can look forward to other things. We'd love, you know, the team is so damn passionate, and we overdo so much. But again, could you afford to spend 1,100 on one
No.
person's uniform for one shoot? No, who could?
No.
Who could? But boy, once you get them in it, they'll look great, and that'll probably be a funder later, either this year or next year. Do you want to see Rathacon? Here's the time. We are ready to go,
Well, your
but you
current
know, Rathacon is
Kickstarter,
the expensive one for the
I
right
wanted to ask
reasons.
you about your current
Yeah,
Kickstarter. What is the time parameter on this one? How long is this one up
yeah.
over your funding?
So it's a 60-day campaign. The
Yeah.
reason it was 60 is because I worked my absolute arse off to create 3 full films to release during that campaign. Because most people, like 90% of campaigns, we want to make a film. Here's the pitch. Some pitches start with a film. I'm doing 3 films with one pitch. So showing I'm obviously making what I'm promising, right? So 3 full films, hope they'll get us press. 54 days left. We're at 3,519 of the 12,500. So a long way to go, obviously, but every small donation matters. Although big donations obviously help us get there more. If we don't get it at all, even if we're shy by a little bit, I mean, yes, I might approach the backers and say, "Do you want to donate privately?" But this is very much a a symbol to the cast. You know, we put in so much extra work. You know, the bill is quite high from previous years. do people want to see these films continue the way we're doing them? Right. This is people's chance to finally. I keep saying in press materials, support what you love, because if people don't support these, then well, we can't make them, and that is sad. But it's not up to us at this point, right? So
Right.
12.5 is to get the current creme de la creme, or the current crop done. And the stretch goals talk about how the first stretch goal is a couple of thousand more, and that gets us some more props and costumes we need for some in development films, because again, you can't film them until you got the props and costumes, but they're ready to go kind of thing. Apart from that, and then more, it'll cover some more films. Also, we're hoping for just as much as we can past the 12, and we'll certainly use all of it and any of it to help. Yeah, yeah. We just want to keep going, just want to keep producing. And there's so many things work in progress. Like I said, there's 3 more films during this campaign. There's a TNG film, a Voyager era / Strange Worlds crossover film,
Right.
which tries to bridge those gaps, bridge those things, and it's really fun for a Trekkie. And the third film is a mirror-ish film,
Ish.
mirror
Ish.
universe brackets ish, and that's a
Ish.
very different film as well. So 3, and that's a First Contact era, maybe post Nemesis around that time. So it's 3 very distinct films, and then after that is going to be a Voyager film, and hopefully after that's back to Prodigy. And I kind of know what the last one's going to be at the end of the year as well. So I've pretty much got the year mark. If it goes well, I've got the year planned already, not including new films.
Okay, so
Hopefully.
you bring up an interesting question. You mentioned Prodigy, which is animated. Are you
Mm-hmm.
thinking about possibly animating your performers and doing something animated?
Absolutely not. No. So when Prodigy was cancelled, because I knew the Prodigy team quite a bit through Trek Yards, I know the showrunners and Walkie and some other team members, because they like what we do, we like what they did. And when Prodigy got cancelled, I don't know how much you know about. Do you watch Prodigy? Do you know much about Prodigy?
Oh, I'm a Star Trek fan to the point that I watch everything.
Good man. And they got more stuff to watch with us. No, Prodigy was cancelled on a Friday, I think around 7 p.m. I emailed one of my people I knew at Prodigy saying, I'm really sorry. What are the chances? They gave me an unofficial their thoughts. And I wrote a script for a Save Prodigy film at 10 p.m. that night. I started creating CGI shots for it between 11 and 5 a.m. I emailed everyone I wanted to be in it that evening, got yeses for everybody. I then spent Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday working from 12 to I woke up at 12 lunchtime until 6 a.m. every single day. I saw dawn every single day. And on the 6th day, the 7th morning, I was able to release a full film called Flight of the Protostar. So literally within a week of it being cancelled, I was able to release a full film, including me, Nick, and Emma. It's actually a really shockingly good film considering. I felt absolutely terrible after, because I burned myself to the ground in terms of, like, I just kept going. I did nothing else but work on it for those 6.5 days. I literally just said, any work, I'm cancelling. I can't do anything, right? And it's 10 minutes. It includes me as the lead because I had to be, but Nick's in it a lot. There's new CGI sets. It's live action Prodigy, and I was told afterwards that the film was mentioned in the room at Netflix when they were getting their. Now, mentioned in what way, I can't say. It might have been
Okay.
offhand, might have been but the fact it was mentioned is enough, right? Might have been a post note, doesn't matter, whatever. As a part of the fandom response, right? Because they were able to say within 7 days somebody made a really good film, and it's actually quite a good film, to support Prodigy. And after that went, I mean, it's 46,000 views. That went really well for us. After that, I secured some private funding, and we started creating a Prodigy long form. I can't call it a series because I can't call things series, but you know what I'm trying to say. And
Right.
the first 5 episodes came out. They were originally launched the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo back when, but then timings. The first 5 episodes are out. They are between sort of 8 and 15 minutes, and they are telling one long story. It's a very big story. It's a very complicated story. I'm very proud of it. It's very bingeable. Every episode ends in a cliffhanger, and it's focused on the USS Protostar in a giant live action story that has heavy Protostar Prodigy references, but it involves our cast. It's sort of fully canon in the sense of trying to ink it. It actually takes place in the Picard era technically, because of Picard was at the time. And 5 episodes are out. They're really, really, I'm really proud of them. And then the next 5 are going to come out hopefully after this Kickstarter, and after one more film after that. That'll be the next 5. And the cliffhanger end of episode 10 is insane. I'll tell you that. It's
All right.
great. And hopefully more coming next year because it's going to be, yeah, no one's done this sort of production before. And we hope he'll watch the next five.
Now, I will say this: your episode is going to be going up like April 20th, and that should be the day as people are seeing this. So your campaign is about your halfway point of your campaign as this is being released.
Yeah, May 20th it ends.
Um, okay, so here's the beauty of it. This interview, if anybody's watching this and they come back and they're seeing it late, it's never too late to go and check out
Mm-hmm.
everything about Trek Shorts. It is for fans, by fans. You need to check out everything with Power 543 fan films. Don't miss anything. Don't let this be the only time you hear about it. And if you missed out on the Kickstarter, if you missed out on it, I'm willing to believe that there will be others, you know.
Yeah, more specialist ones for sure. We have, specific things. But seriously, if you're a fan of TOS or Rathacon or Voyager or First Contact, because we brought characters in from this era, from these eras, and they all kind of they go from one to the next. You can just watch Prodigy film, or just watch Picard, or just watch TNG, and we've got a bit of everything. The only thing we haven't done is a Discovery film because that's obviously confusing to integrate.
Yeah.
But for the most part, everything else, when Low Decks was cancelled, I made a film in 2.5 weeks. I wasn't going to do a week again because that really wasn't good for my health. But I did in 2.5 weeks, and that's also my favorite films, actually. That involves my fiance getting on screen for the first time. She was a voiceover previously, and she's really charming in that. That's called Cerritos Lost, and that's really fun. That's a really that's actually well, that will have been the next week's Sean review, but many weeks ago from the launch of this. Honestly, every film is different. Every film has a reason to exist. Every film has something special, and every film I'm trying to do something specific. You might not get what I'm trying to do because it's deeper lore, but every film
Yeah.
has a reason, and they all try and have a bit of both fan love, but also real storytelling. They're not just there for canon's sake, or there's a reason for everything.
And the one thing you mentioned earlier about, canon, you were talking about canon
Yeah.
and stuff. I look at your films and fan films in general like I do novels and beta canon. You are a version of beta canon,
Mm.
it's I don't know if fan films have ever been referred to as beta canon, but they should, you know.
Not quite.
Well, but yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you're taking elements of a universe that we all love. You are creating stories that you love, and you're putting your heart into it. And I think if is, that's all that matters, really, And
Well, yeah, it matters that I'm very much a Trek is a historical world, so
yeah,
things have got to fit into it. Even so much as if you watch our Arathacon documentary, which was about the theft of the Enterprise, the theft of the Excelsior. What's fun about that film is it's an official Memory Alpha sanctioned. Now, while Memory Alpha is not Starfleet, it's they're
yeah,
all. It's an officially sanctioned documentary. So, do you think they're going to be able to say Kirk stole the Enterprise?
mm,
Right? So
right,
you as the audience can watch it on several levels because we know they stole the Enterprise. But we know as the audience they can't say that. So the doc is framed as what can we say and it's true because Starfleet doesn't lie in my world. Honesty is important. But how
right.
can you reframe events that are true but from a certain point of view? So watch that because I'm actually getting things wrong on purpose in that film because that's what the official story is. Because so there's really, really interesting canon stuff that sometimes you have to get stuff wrong, but in context it's correct. But you must know that going in. So that one in particular is really fun for like the you can and when I directed the Admiral, I told him to know he's lying or like misleading slightly, and you can see it in his eyes sometimes. It's really fun because there's some meta games in that one, which are really kind of cool.
Now, it's always good to know that your federation isn't run by Romulans. So that's good.
Yeah, goddamn sunglasses. There you go. I got Commodore O. There you go. I'm
Like,
on duty.
yeah.
I've yet to put a Zhen He in anyway. I will put a Zhen He at some point. And I have to make some sort of canon joke because she's not the most powerful ship ever because that's silly. Uh, yeah, I try and square the circles of some of those things that don't quite make sense. Yeah, or make gentle fun of them. I'll give you one mild spoiler. In the Voyager Stranger Worlds crossover, I often think that content is perspective. So if a Voyager era person walks onto TOS Colony, they'll see it differently than onto a Enterprise J, right? They'll just see it differently. And so if a Voyager era character walks onto the Stranger Worlds bridge, they're going to say, wow, that's a big window, because they've never seen a ship in their entire life as a bridge window, nor one that's the entire length of the bridge. They're obviously going to comment on it because it looks ridiculous from their entire lived experience, right?
Good point.
But
Good
you
point.
but you don't need to say it like a dickhead fan. Sorry, that was a bit rude. You don't have to say it like a mean fan, but you can say it how they would say it. And
No, I get you.
perspective lets you poke fun at it, but it's just the truth of the scenario, So that'll be fun because we poke holes in the way that it needs to be, but also there's fun stuff with it too.
It's like referencing, hey, there's no carpet on the floor. Yeah.
Yep. Carpets are always a joke we gotta do because hell of a joke.
It's a good joke. I get it, and and if someone's watching it and they're not a Star Trek fan, they may not get it. But even my wife is a very much a not a Star Trek
Mm.
fan. She's not a Trekkie, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'll mention, oh, there's no carpet, and she goes, well, why would they have carpet? It's like, okay, it's like that's all right. I still love you.
Why would you have very bright, reflective, scratched up floors that everything's reflected so hard it's like a mirror? That's
Yeah,
terribly distracting. Why would you have that? A nice matte floor that's not reflective or shiny or scratchy.
I'm like
Oh
I
wait,
need
that's carpet. As
yes, I need to have bright lights shining in my face too, like in the Kelvin universe.
yes, the
So
Strange Worlds bridge having an eye line is a slightly odd. Um, I think if you like the gentle doesn't make sense and not make sense, and that film's going to be fun because it is meta, but it's in the best appreciation of what they're trying to do meta.
I agree. Samuel, I got to tell you, this has been a wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed my time with you, and I look
Thank
forward
you.
to everything that's coming from your Trek shorts. I'm going to be going back. I'm going to start watching them all, and that's the beauty of it. I have 39 films to go back and check
40
out.
this week.
40 this week. Goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be amazing, and I appreciate it. I want everybody to do the same thing. Go back, check them out. All the information is on screen, where to find them. And do you have, like, yourself, do you want to tell anybody where to find you particular?
Yeah. I'm just Samuel Cockings on the different social medias. My page is personal, but you're always welcome to message me. We have a Twitter X at Trek Shorts and a Facebook, of course. So all those things come through to me. But I'm happy to take messages on Instagram or Facebook. I'm an open book. But I would like to challenge you, though, sir.
That,
Watch every film, think about them, then have me on again and ask and tell me the ones you don't like. Tell me, like watch them and do the review style you would for an academy. That film you did this. Put me to the fire when you watch them all. I want to see. You seem like a smart cookie. What would be, you know, put me to the
I can
fire
do
on
that.
some.
I can do that. I will definitely do that. Well, you will be back. You will be back. You give me a chance to kick them all out. I'll make sure I'll get me a notebook. I'm gonna buy a
I would
notebook
love a
for.
notebook.
Then we're gonna give me a notebook. Each
I
one's
would
gonna
love
get
a
its own page. I'm gonna go old school on this. We're gonna have citation ops.
Oh yes, that would be that. I Sean did film something a while ago for me in person, and he did fill a note, his equivalent of notepad because there's so much of that. So yes, that was a. We have fun. We have fun. But thank you so much
Well,
for
I
having me.
love it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, much. Yeah, much. Happy to have you on here, and yeah, well, live long and prosper.
Indeed, or the low decks reversible, whatever that is.